My name is Courtney. I identify as a daughter, sister, friend, and a cat lover. I'm Canadian and I'm an electrical engineer as well as a musician. I play piano. So I'm a system planning engineer at Newfoundland Power, which is an electric utility based here in St. John's, Newfoundland. On a day-to-day basis, I analyze technical engineering data relating to power systems to complete capital and system planning work for future projects. For example, I use a program called SIME to simulate our electricity grid and to try to optimize it to mitigate concerns such as load growth, overloaded equipment, and new customers. I use the results of these simulations to propose solutions and capital work for the design teams to execute. I would think my friends and coworkers would describe me differently. At the workplace, I'm required to communicate and work with a lot of different people in varying backgrounds and levels of experience. Naturally, I think I'm more introverted, and my friends, I believe, are the ones that see that. But at work, I'm required to be more extroverted, which I believe is a learned behavior for me, and it's taken some practice. So at Newfoundland Power, I think the biggest trait for the job is the ability to communicate effectively with a number of different departments, being able to communicate with each other so everyone's on the same page is imperative. So I always start the answer to questions like that by saying I never wanted to be an engineer, partly because I didn't know what an engineer actually did, and partly because I have family who are engineers and what they did didn't interest me. Growing up, I went through a number of different career paths that I wanted to choose. In elementary school, I wanted to be a dentist. In middle school, I wanted to be a lawyer. And in high school, I wanted to be an astrophysicist. So when it was time to apply to universities, I applied to Memorial University Engineering at the advice of my parents and my high school physics teacher, who was an engineer. So in first year engineering, we were exposed to the different disciplines that was offered at Memorial. And electrical engineering stuck with me the most, and I actually ended up loving my program. I think work terms helped the most in determining the right career path for me. I completed 4 work terms in electric utilities in Newfoundland and in British Columbia, 1 in construction and 1 in underwater robotics research. When I graduated engineering, I actually got a job in oil and gas. While it was an interesting job and I worked with an amazing group of people, I found it just wasn't suited for me. So I completely changed career paths only 5 months after graduating university and got my dream job at Newfoundland Power. So at Newfoundland Power, on top of having an electrical engineering background, being business savvy is also required because I use technical engineering data to justify multi-million-dollar capital expenditures. I think what makes my career path meaningful is knowing that the work that I do directly benefits the public. My role also allows for a lot of innovation and modernization of technology in Newfoundland. 2 of the major projects I've been involved in that I'm fairly proud of are the work I've done with LED streetlights and electrical vehicle adoption and electrification. Sustainability is something that I'm really passionate about, and working on these projects with which both focus on sustainability was incredibly rewarding. And I think this is where my career path and where the industry can really make a difference. Electric utilities will always be around because power will always be required, but where we can really make a difference is where the power comes from. For example, hydropower, wind, thermal, other renewable resources, and how efficiently we consume it. So the biggest piece of advice I can offer young girls that are considering a similar career path is to get out and participate in STEM programs. I completed the WISE Student Summer Employment Program, and I worked in the MUN Physics department for a summer in grade 11. And I also did the Arctic Engineer program after grade 12, where I got to work with Memorial engineering professors for a week, focusing on engineering design with Arctic considerations. These programs really solidified that STEM was the field that I wanted to work in, and gave me a lot of exposure. And if you have any questions about STEM in general, WISE NL, which is Women in Science and Engineering, WREC, and Ready for STEM are all amazing organizations to reach out to and get involved with. And they offer programs for young girls interested in STEM. For questions about engineering in particular, the Memorial Engineering faculty is a great resource. They host open houses every single year where you can see the different laboratories that students actually get to work in. And it gives you the chance to talk with other engineering students about how they got to where they are.